I got a good
Usable.
question.
All right.
When was the last time you were harassed?
Ha 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 ha.
That's how we start this.
See, I guess it almost depends on what you define as harassment.
Define harassment then.
Define harassment. Harassment is basically any inappropriate advances.
I agree with what you said. I think it's more unprovoked, non-consensual. We're talking about women when women are just trying to live their day, like make it through their day without being yelled at.
Mm-hmm.
Is that too much to ask? Yeah, not asking for it. I'm just walking down the street or driving my car or trying to get to work, commuting, trying to get a drink at a bar without getting roofied, you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
Or injected these days.
Oh my God. Yeah. Which is just like that. I think that's the thing, is that this just really blows my mind, is the fact that there is already this level of scariness about the world and living in it, in knowing that these things are possible. And now there's a whole nother level to it of, oh, you're not going to get possibly roofied, but now you can be injected, and before you even know it, you're unconscious or fucked or whatever it is. Like, you're messed up, and you basically can't do anything about it.
The story goes is that I was walking home from work, from the train. I used to take the Paco to and from work. And unfortunately, when I get off of work, the sun is usually down. It was not a weekend, so it wasn't that busy, but it also wasn't exactly deserted on the streets. And the train station is about, 4 blocks from my apartment. And I'm on the phone with my friend. I mean, just some background too. I'm very observant, was taught to keep an eye on everybody around you, walk by the street lights, don't have your headphones in when you're walking. What else do women do? I walk with pepper spray in my hands. I carry a knife with me some days. I'm not afraid to yell at people, which is something that I did. And I was on the phone with my friend. He was on speaker. There was no headphones in my ears. And I walked past a SEPTA station, which is about 2 blocks from my apartment. I noticed a man acting a little weird. He didn't look homeless or, I guess, mentally unstable. He looked kind of normal, but at the same time, I guess you can't assume. And this man he turned around after he was facing the opposite direction, like heading the opposite way, and he immediately turned around, and I'm on the phone with my friend. And I said to my friend 3 times, I'm going to FaceTime you. I am going to FaceTime you. There is somebody behind me. I am going to FaceTime you. And I switched over to FaceTime. I held the phone up. I said out loud, I feel uncomfortable with how close this man is behind me, pretty much. And I thought that would be a deterrent enough. Unfortunately, I was carrying 2 bags, so I was a bit weighed down, which is sad because I feel like I'm blaming myself, although it's not my fault that this happened. I have to remember that. But after my friend was on FaceTime and I pointed the camera kind of up and back, he grabbed my ass, and hard enough for me to be like hit off balance, kind of like I lost my step a bit, and I literally felt his hand on my very intimate areas, if you will. It's a feeling I won't forget. But he ran past me. And at that point, I was yelling and screaming at the guy that grabbed me and continued to go forward. And I see him turn down the alley right behind my apartment. Mind you, I live in Center City. Like, it's fairly busy. I crossed the street and kept an eye on him the whole time. He was kind of crouching behind of a dumpster. I thought he was just like peeing behind the dumpster. But I had eyes on him the whole time, and I walked under a street light, and as I passed the alley, he came out from the alley, crossed the street, and I crossed again, and he crossed again. And then he started walking very quickly, almost speed walking towards me, and I just started running. I booked it. And luckily, I mean, all the shops were closed. There was nowhere to go into. But luckily, I was close enough to my apartment and had my keys out. And I got chased all the way into my apartment building and watched this man almost make it into the door before I closed it. Yeah, that was cool. But unfortunately, that's just how it is. Like, it sucks, but is it not something that we're used to at this point to be on the lookout for? But the solution when these conversations come up is, well, what? I mean, when I talked about it with, women too, women, men, anybody of all ages, like, I'm not afraid to talk about this story. But when I talk about it, they always say, well, did you have your pepper spray with you? Did you do this? Why didn't you do that? And I'm sitting here like, is it my fault that I didn't protect myself enough? No. Like, it shouldn't have happened in the first place. It's always on women to deal with the harassment that we face every day, rather than teaching your sons how to behave.